Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So 6 weeks ago, I started training to reach the goal of 4 watts per kilogram. For me, that means reaching a weight of 80 kilograms and a power of 320 watts. Last month, I did a ramp test and got 260 watts at a weight of 98 kilograms. So my watts per kilogram was 2.65, which is not that great and a long way from my goal. So how much have I improved since then? I'll be doing a new ramp test and a new weigh-in at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around to the end to see that. But first, I'm going to quickly take you through what training I've been doing over the last 6 weeks. So I'm using a training plan from an app called TrainerRoad. It recommended me a training plan which is based on 3 stages. The current stage is called a base stage, and this is mostly lots of lower intensity rides designed to help you build a nice foundation for building strength later on. So in my case, this base phase is hopefully going to get me back to my previous peak, which was just in the summer holiday in around June, July time. So the base stage is 6 weeks, and each week the trainer suffer score, or TSS, slowly increases. This gives your body time to get used to the new volume which you're putting it through. So in week 6, there is a recovery week. This lets your body rest and get rid of all the fatigue that is built up in the preceding weeks. So after that recovery week comes a new FTP test, and that's a chance to see if all the training has actually been paying off. So I managed to complete maybe about 80% of the workouts. I did them both outside and on the indoor trainer. I would tend to do the most difficult rides outside just because it's a bit more fun, and then leave the easier sessions for inside. Each week I would prioritize the hardest workouts and make sure that I was feeling fresh for those ones, even if that meant cutting short one of the easier sessions. I wanted to make sure I was recovering properly from the big sessions because that's where most of the gains would come from. Each week I averaged between 8 and 9 hours on the bike, except for one week where I was away with my girlfriend, so that week I only managed 4 hours. During the hard workouts, I did end up pushing myself harder than TrainerRoad suggested. For example, in the sweet spot intervals, I ended up doing about 260 to 270 watts, whereas the app suggested only doing 240 watts. I think this is the difference between riding outside and riding inside. Previously, I did the ramp test inside, so the FTP I got from that is probably more relevant to indoor riding rather than outdoor riding. So back to the present day, we are at the end of the recovery week, so it's time for a new FTP test. So last time I did the ramp test, I got 263 watts, but this time I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it outside on a local climb. There are a few different ways of measuring your FTP. A 20-minute max interval is the most common method. You do 20 minutes at your absolute max power and then take 95% of that, and that will be your FTP. But the climbs aren't long enough around here, so I'm going to do a different one. So in the TrainerRoad app, there's a different version you can do, which is 2 8-minute max power tests. You do 8 minutes at your max power, followed by a 10-minute rest, and then you do the same thing again. So the reason I'm doing this one is because the climbs just aren't long enough. The climbs I have are around 10 minutes long, which is just about the right length to be able to do an FTP test this way. So given I do most of my hard workouts outside, it makes sense for me to do the FTP test outside as well, because I think it will give me a more relevant number. Before heading out onto the test, I needed to weigh myself. 6 weeks ago, I was 98 kilograms, and now 6 weeks later, I am 97 kilograms. Right, so here we are, beginning of the first 8-minute effort. Maximum power for 8 minutes, here we go. I've climbed this hill many times and have a baseline for outdoor power. I recently did an effort at 310 watts for 10 minutes, so I know my number should be somewhere around there. Straight out the gate, I decided to stick to around 350 watts. This is a very aggressive strategy, and I'm definitely going to be hanging on for dear life at the end. By the end of the first effort, I am tired but not fully gassed. At the back of my mind, I knew there was a second effort, so I left a tiny bit in the tank. Time to descend and prepare for effort 2. The second effort was noticeably harder, despite the 10 minutes of rest. I tried to match 350 watts from the beginning, but that only lasts for about a minute. I'm really struggling here, but I managed to drag myself to the line. So the results are in. For the first effort, I managed 344 watts for 8 minutes, and then for the second effort, I managed 328 watts for 8 minutes. So taking the average of those and then timesing it by 0.9 gives me a new FTP of 302 watts, which isn't too bad really. So I gained 40 watts in about 6 weeks. It seems pretty good, right? So obviously I'm pretty pleased with the progress, but I've got to remember that it was just me regaining the fitness I already had in the summer rather than building new fitness, if that makes sense. So the real challenge will be continuing to build on this new FTP while actually losing some more weight. Next month, I'm going to start calorie counting again. I didn't calorie count for this month because I was doing so much more volume than I was used to, so I wanted to make sure my body was getting enough food in it to recover properly. But from next month, my body is already used to this volume, so hopefully I'll be able to reduce the calories a bit. I'm not going to go mad on the calorie deficit, maybe like 300 calories a day, just so I can lose weight slowly without losing any power. I'm also going to focus on proper fueling during the rides. Normally I would just take a random amount of gels and just eat them whenever I got hungry, but from now on I'm going to work out how long I plan to ride for beforehand and take a proper amount of food and make sure I eat it consistently during the workouts, not just when I start to feel hungry. Hopefully eating properly during the workouts will allow me to recover quickly and train more efficiently. I'm also going to start doing some yoga. This is because I've learned that I am incredibly unflexible, and in the future I want to get a really aero bike, which means improving my position and being able to sit lower on the handlebars. That's more of a long-term thing, but it's something I want to get started now. Anyway, that's it from me. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and I will be checking in again next month. All right, peace out.